one, two.
All right, let's go. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the May 5th school board meeting, which is our work session. I'd like to welcome everybody. Hope everyone had a great day today. Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll? And we can't hear you.
Here,
We can't hear you through the mic.
but I'm here.
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 Here. We are all here and accounted for. At this time, Mr. Freeman, can you please recite the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, Madam Chair. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Board, we are at that time on our agenda where we need to make a motion to approve it. And before we approve it, I want to make sure all our guests are here tonight. Okay, so we're missing one of our guests. So I'm going to ask that we approve the agenda with the caveat that we move section 2, or we get started with section 3. And then as soon as Cheryl Ryan arrives, we will stop where we are and go back to that place in the agenda. Is everyone okay with that?
Yes, Madam Chair.
So if we can have a motion on the floor to please approve item 1.3, the May 5th work session board meeting agenda.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept item 1.3, the approval of the agenda.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Is there any further discussion, board?
No, Madam Chair.
All right. Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Miss Mitchell.
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Next on the agenda is item 1.4, public participation. Mr. Jolly, did we have any public participation? Okay, so we can't hear you on the mic either, sir. I mean, through your headsets either.
Is mine working now?
No,
Yes, Dr. Rock.
Yes,
Yes,
No.
Dr. Rock. We can hear Dr. Rock now.
you cannot hear him through the headsets.
I can.
Can you?
I can as well.
I can't.
1, 2.
I can
Yeah.
now.
Mhm.
I can.
Okay, good.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You can. So we did have one public participation from parent Nicole Gordon. Her question centered around why students couldn't talk during lunch in WHES lunchtime. Ms. Bishop did respond that during the 20-minute lunch, they do, while mask is off, students, they do ask them not to talk so that the germs of COVID won't spread, or not COVID, but it's germs won't spread. But after lunch, the students have the opportunity for recess where they're able to play and have open conversation. That was the only public participation that was received. Ms. Bishop did respond to Ms. Gordon via email. I can't hear. I'm sorry, I cannot hear.
I'm sorry. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. I was just going to say thank you so very much for that. If there's nothing else, Cheryl, I can't get my window back open, guys. So is Cheryl Ryan on the call yet?
No.
Madam Chair.
All right, then let's go on to item 3.1, please.
Yes. 3.1 is the GMP for the middle and high school. We have on the phone Steve Zanoni and Doug Myers, who will explain exactly what the GMP is and what are the next steps.
Thank you. Thank you, John. This is Steve Zanoni, and I want to thank the board for this opportunity to come in front of you. If you recall from our last time we were in front of the board, we did speak to you that we were going to come today with the final GMP for the new middle school, high school. And after a lot of negotiation, and also, as you know, we had to do some rebids because of the lateness of the steel. We now have a complete document, and I'm going to ask Don, can you put up the PowerPoint, which Doug is then going to walk us through.
So he had to walk away. I
Okay.
think someone is trying to get into the building.
Okay.
So I don't have the document, Dr. Rock.
I was going to try to forward it to you. Is that okay?
Yes. So if you guys can just bear with us, and we thank you so
Fine.
very much for your patience this evening.
Completely understandable. It's
Oh, here comes Jolly.
From May 3rd, or I just emailed it to you.
okay. I'm going to thank you, Don, for putting this up. And I'm going to ask Doug. Doug's going to walk us through the PowerPoint, and it should be fairly quick. Doug, would you go ahead?
Yes, thank you. And again, thank you. We're at a critical point. We have the last meeting we told you about the issue that we had with steel and with the market conditions. And so tonight we are requesting approval of the GMP for the building. If you can go ahead and go forward. And I've kind of broke it down into scope review, the contract sum, and the schedule, and then also kind of given a quick update as to where we are in the overall program. Please go ahead. I figured the best way to kind of show this, and this is we have hundreds and hundreds of documents and pages and specifications and everything else, and then with the GMP. So I wanted to show this just to clarify to everyone, you know, the program has a lot.
I am so very, very, very sorry. I am so very sorry. I hate to do this. Our guest who was to speak at the section 2 is on the phone. They did opt to join during the vacation, and they have a commitment at 7 o'clock.
Why don't we go ahead and
That's fine.
I sincerely hate to do this, but
Thank
if we
you.
can have her go on and get started.
Thank you.
Cheryl, can you hear us? Yeah, she called in. I'm emailing her now. I am so sorry. Wow. No. Oh, okay. Her cell phone number? Okay. I'm gonna go off mute, guys. All righty, we're just going to ask everyone to please hang in there with us. We have had some interesting technical difficulties, but we are coming along. I have to say, after a year of doing these meetings, if this is the first time we've had some hiccups like this, I think we've done very well. So just be patient. We're trying to get our guest that was section 2 on the call. So just be patient with us. Thank you so very much. Okay, we are so very sorry. We're going to move forward. I'm not sure what's happening, but I don't want to keep our other guests on the line and I don't want to delay our meeting any longer. So if we could get back to you all's presentation, Steve and Doug, we will be totally appreciative.
Not a problem. Thank you. Doug, I'll let you,
Okay.
as soon as we get the slide, if you can start slideshow.
Hold on, she just joined us.
Oh, we're okay.
Yeah, this is
You know,
not a problem.
we're part of the Warrensville Heights City School family. So we
Yep,
have
you're part of the family.
no.
That's right. You one of the team.
Yes.
We get it. We get it.
Okay.
Right.
Thank
Cheryl,
you.
we are ready for you to get started, but you're on mute. All right, you're still on mute. While she's getting herself off mute, we asked.
I'm here.
Okay, there you go. Floor is
Okay,
yours.
hold on 1 second, okay? Okay, I'm here with you all.
We're ready.
Okay, so Tracy and I had a couple of conversations about your interest in reinvigorating your strategic plan. And so what we had talked about was the idea of doing one workshop, possibly two, as soon as you're ready, but perhaps a little bit later this summer. And the first workshop, in my view, would be best spent with whatever group you all would deem as important to the process, whether it's just the board or administrators and board or some community members, however that works conveniently for you, and that we begin by reviewing your mission and vision and working to reinvest, possibly reword or rewrite or add to, but possibly not, but basically getting this board's commitment that the vision is solid as is or could be amended. And if it needs to be amended, we would work on that in the first meeting. Mission, vision, and possibly goals, depending on how little tinkering you all want to do. Then we would possibly have a second meeting to reinvest in goals and goal statements and possibly move towards strategies and objectives. So I think that your first strategic plan was really solid and you've worked it, you've paid attention to it and lived by it. So I think process-wise, you're a lot further along and there's probably somewhat less work to do to get you moving forward again.
The other thing that I wanted to share that Cheryl and I discussed as well, I let her know that we've been very focused on functioning from a governance mindset. And I'll share later and some of my updates from NSBA, but we have a really good opportunity right now to take all of that information that we've learned over this past year with Deborah Keys and her consulting firm to bring that to life, bring it to life in such a way that we really begin memorializing all the wonderful work that we've done over these past 4 years, so that when one of our legacies can be ensuring that the board will move to new levels and how we function, how we think, how we decision, and we want to be able to build that into that first or second session, as well as looking at our own board goals, which we haven't probably touched since the district goals were developed, because our goals should really feed off of the district goals.
Absolutely. There should be total alignment there. And one of the things I've mentioned to Tracy, you, and also to Mimi and Earl in working with the board handbook is the board handbook is exactly a governance document, and it plays hand in hand with your governance efforts, your policy efforts. The fact that all of those are in a physical like place through board docs is great. Your revitalized strategic plan will be there as well. So all of these steps, reinvesting in a strategic plan, reinvesting in board's goals on top of the district's goals, which we could add that as a layer to our workshop, and the handbook, those are all top governance practices.
So what Cheryl wanted to work with us today, she did say she'd like to do 2 sessions. When she talked with us, she shared 1 week in July, give us some time to kind of marinate over that body of work, and then come back into early August and wrap it up. Would we be able to align with that thinking, a week in July and then come back and do a week in August? Okay. All right. So what we're going to do, Cheryl, we'll take that portion offline. We'll work as a board to come up with dates to share with you and your team. If you can also share some dates with us to let us know what works for you. And then Mr. Jolly and I will ensure that we can get all the stars and the moons in line, and we'll get our meeting scheduled for 1 week in July and then a second meeting in August. So
okay, and if you will give me 2 or 3 dates in July and 2 or 3 dates in August, where the 5 of you and your administrators are all willing to come together to do this work, I will guarantee you that one of those 3 dates in July and one of those 3 dates in August, I will be there.
That'll work. That'll work.
All right.
I thank you. And I really thank you for joining us from your vacation. I know you're having a long-awaited visit with your mom. So thank you. We really appreciate you joining us.
You're so welcome. Have a great week, everybody.
You too now. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. We will now go back to section 3. I want to thank our Tiger family from a distance very, very much for being patient with us as we work through that.
We're very patient, and it's kind of interesting when you're talking about your board accomplishments. I'm just amazed. I've been working with almost all of you throughout this entire process, and you should be really proud of what you've accomplished. And it's amazing what we've, what 4.5, 5 years ago when we first came in front of you, what's happened. You built a new elementary, and now you're about to build this new middle school, high school. So we'd like to kind of walk through with you what the GMP is encompassing. And then, so Doug will go through that, and he'll tell us where we are budget wise, which is good. We're under budget. So Doug, why don't you go ahead?
Yes, thank you. I wanted to show this picture because I figured that was a good way to kind of summarize and clarify what's included in this GMP. So this is for the building, for the middle school and for the high school. It includes the allowances for the fixtures, the furniture, equipment, and technology. And it also includes the parking lots. This does not include the demolition of the high school. That is it's going to be coming in another GMP. However, we do have that funded in the program budget and everything like that. So as Steve mentioned, this is in the budget that we have for the GMP. But I figured this was a good way to show what is really included. If you can go to the next slide. So this $57,161,540, that is for the total GMP. And that actually is about $350,000 below what our estimate was for this. We had been pushing the team really hard, and we were hoping that we would be a lot lower because we do have a lot of alternates that we wanted to get into the project. But we are below budget right now, which is a very good thing. We are not making any requests for alternates at this time because what we want to do is we want to work with Mr. Jolly, and we want to identify the priorities and continue to manage the project within the budget. The one alternate that is accepted and within the GMP already is the north lot. As we develop the project, it's crucial to the construction, it's crucial to the occupancy. So Infinity was able to go ahead and to work that into their GMP. We have also developed cost reduction options as a team that as Infinity moves forward, we're going to continue to work on those so that we can try to balance out the request for alternates with cost reductions. So we have a long way to go, but we're in a good position with actually being able to get the building built within our budget. The alternates will be presented to you, as a request for a change order once we kind of get to that, but that's a ways down the road. Okay, and the next slide. So the contract sum is made up of several different items. The largest item, of course, is all of the trades work. So the $52,380,584 is for all of the trade contractors that Infinity is going to be contracting with to build the project. It also includes a little over $1 million for the items of general conditions. It includes the personnel cost for Infinity and for the CMR contingency. And as we've developed this, there have been a reduction in staff for Infinity and a reduction of CMR contingency to kind of help with the extension of the project. And it also includes the 2% fee that was negotiated at the time of hiring of Infinity of the 2%. So that's what makes up the cost for the GMP. So as far as the schedule, as you know, we had a major issue with the steel, but this GMP does include the schedule adjustment for that. So the next steps is upon approval of this, Infinity has actually already started to talk to their trades contractors. So once we have approval for this GMP, then they will be able to start to bring on their trades contractors. They will start mobilize with all of their submittals, all of the review by Moody Nolan. We're looking to have actually see the start of the construction here in the summer. And then we have the occupancy of the high school and middle school in August of 2023. And then the site work, they're going to be able to wrap that up shortly after in November of 2023. So this pretty much matches what we had talked about before when we had the request for the extension. So that was the GMP. I also wanted to update you on the overall program because we have a lot of moving parts with this. And so I wanted to kind of explain how this all keys together. So we are under design for the athletic complex. We kind of took a little bit of a pause so that we can make sure that we could spend all of our energies on getting this GMP, in alignment. So that is under design. We're going to be finishing that design in about August, and then Infinity will be going out and we'll be looking at a GMP in that for about October. And so that will give us a completion of the stadium work in August of 2022. And then the ball fields will follow after that in 2023. And that's just with the sequencing of the staging of the site and all of the operations that have to go into place while all of the construction is taking place. The other part of the program is the temporary bus location. So right now we are working at doing some minimal improvements at the old board so that we can relocate the buses there, and then we can do the demolition of the existing bus station with the existing of the demolition of the middle school. And then we are continuing to work on a design in coordination with the city to see what opportunities we have to use those facilities for a longer term location for the bus facility. If there's any questions, feel free. There's a lot here. I tried to summarize it. We are, as Steve mentioned, we are in a good position. It's very important. We've been pushing the whole team very hard because of the climate with the market conditions and everything else. We really feel that the approval of this is crucial this time so we can really get started, take advantage of the numbers that we have now. I wanted to share kind of the athletic complex, just kind of to have a photo, an image with all of the different words that we've had tonight, so you can kind of see how that's being developed. And again, that's going to continue to be developed, but that's where we're looking at right now. If there's any questions, feel free to ask.
Doug, I would like them to see the final version of the athletic fields. I think this is the first time that this has been revealed since the initial drawing. So there's been some modifications to how this looks. If you look at it, the original drawing that we originally had, the softball fields were on top. They were changed. They put the softball fields currently where the bus garage is. That's where the softball fields is. You see a practice field for football out there. You see the outline for that. On the fields for practice. You see, if you look at the stands, the visitor stands at the end, they're trying to create something like a green monster. If you're familiar with Fenway Park in Boston, trying to create some type of high wall there, which would double as a press booth also there too. So there's a lot of creative things here. And also, if you look around, there's like a walking track around there. We're looking at that as creating a walking track around the field so that people can walk around this park-like setting that we're setting up here at the site.
Yeah, really to try to create that kind of campus feel that we talked about early on in the program.
One quick question regarding the steel. You said it's available. It's available now. The steel.
The steel is delayed. The schedule has been updated to reflect that delay.
Okay. Did the price go up at all?
The price did go up. and it is included in this GMP.
Okay, it included in the 57 million.
It
Right?
is, yeah, this
Oh.
57 includes the price for the steel increase and the
Mhm.
schedule extension. Everything that we know today is included in this GMP.
Okay,
Yes,
all right, thank you.
it continues to go up. That's one of the reasons for our request.
I hate to put pressure on the board, but that's why we need to get this GMP passed, because we could then sign the contract for the steel.
Oh, okay.
That's really, and that allows us to lock in to both the price and the delivery date.
Okay.
I have a quick question about the bus garage. How
Yeah.
long do we plan to temporarily house it at the, at the old administration building? What's our timetable?
So I want to speak to that. I think we have some serious discussions coming about that bus garage and being at the Board of Education.
Mhm.
It might be longer than we anticipate. So we will definitely be coming back to the board at probably the next meeting, or maybe in June with some recommendations. We met today. We have some things to discuss. Again, with the budget, how much do we want to put into the bus garage? How much do we want to put into a partnership? Those are all things that we're gonna have to revisit, because the way it was, how can I say it? We just need to work through the specifics on how if that relationship can work, or if we have to have an alternative. So I would say a minimum of 6 months. I would say at this point, a minimum of 6 months would be at the Board of Education.
I'd like to add to that, Darren. What's important is that we don't rush that process, and we have an interim solution that works really well with the buses located at the old Board of Ed location, and we have agreement with the city to use those bays that are already there, and they're usable today. So we're not in the where we have to make a decision tomorrow. And so this, what I think, as Don said, you really have to develop what's that relationship with the city and the district, and how we're going to co-use a building. There's just a lot to do. So the good news is we have plenty of time to do that. We don't have a gun to our head that we got to make a decision by tomorrow.
The only issue is having somewhere for our mechanic to work on the buses. So the city does have 3 open bays that the county vacated, that we hope that they make available for our mechanic temporarily until we can finish this process out.
Well, even as the buses are housed at the administration building, we do believe the city will allow us to use the bays that they have currently.
Yeah, we have some discussions about using the open bays that they have on a temporary basis until we can work out how this is going to go.
Understood.
And they're putting an agreement together for that temporary use.
All right.
We can't hear you, ma'am.
Sorry about that. And maybe you answered this. So how long do we anticipate using the bus garage, as well as we're still at the middle school for now, right?
Yes. So the middle school, due to in the construction schedule, probably by July, we're going to have to vacate that area. So we're going to prepare the board. We might have to make an investment in some more gravel there to extend the parking lot a little. And we have to make an investment in 2 pads to put 2 temporary fuel tanks there, because we have fuel at the current Board of Education, at the current transportation place. So we need to invest in that. The cost of the temporary gas tanks is not high at all. The cost would be the pads that we would have to place there and the gravel. The rest, the parking lot is sufficient. Our guys can stripe the parking lot. Robert and Ryan can do that. And then the board building will be used to house the dispatcher in operations. And then we actually cleared out the 2 garages there for storage too. So we're going to look at all options with this bus garage. We're going to come back to you because we have some other ideas, and we'll share it with you very soon. how this can work.
Also, I'd just like to say for Steve, Sean, and Doug, you know, in the last 5 years, we've worked on this project. And anytime you're building a building, you're going to have some hiccups and you're going to have some roadblocks. But I want to be thankful to you guys that we always sit down at the table. In 5 years and over probably 200 and some odd meetings, we always get to a solution. I mean, it's very hard to build these buildings, and yeah, they look pretty, and we got our scholars in them. But the things that Superintendent Jolly, myself, and the rest of you gentlemen do on a monthly basis, I just want to thank you for always including the district, always looking out for the best interests of all three of these cities, and always keeping us in the loop about what's happening and if we can find a common solution. I know sometimes I get a little rowdy in those meetings, but I'm doing it for all of these scholars. So I want to thank you guys.
And we thank you for your participation, Ray, and for Don also.
That is appreciated. Thank you.
Same here.
So I think coming up, I talked to Sean today. We'll have some more definitive dates on when the middle school is coming down in the bus garage. So we'll be able to share that as soon as Sean gets that to me. We'll be able to share that with the board. And then we'll be working on the Board of Education this month, getting it prepared, the gravel and the pads and the tanks there. So I'll keep everyone updated as we work through that process. We you know, a lot of moving parts at the same time because we're moving the middle school to John Dewey simultaneously. Then we got to clean out John Dewey so that the middle school can move in. And then we got to get rid of stuff in the middle school. So it's a lot of moving parts the month of May to the middle of June. But I'll definitely keep the board and the community updated as we go.
And Superintendent Jolly, when are we working on the baseball field at John Dewey? When is that?
We contracted for the baseball fields to be done by May 31st. The rain has paused it. I did reach out to Anthony Siriano today to get an update of where we are. We are removing we are putting 2 new baseball fields and removing the tennis courts at John Dewey. So those things should be happening soon.
Thank you.
And I'll keep my eye on that, Don, as I'll work closely with Anthony to ensure that we get those done by the end of the month. So
yeah.
Challenge is the rain right now.
Weather.
Yeah, we got 110 kids trying to play baseball, so
I'm a baseball fan.
Yeah.
I'm a baseball fan, so I'm after it. So I'm with you on that one. So
thank you.
All right. Thank you so very much for a good update and for the good questions that came through, board members. At this time, we do need a motion on the floor so that we can approve GMP 02. So may I have a motion on the floor to approve 3.1 GMP new middle high school building with Infinity Construction?
Madam Chair, I move item 3.1, the GMP 02 new middle and high school building with Infinity Construction.
Thank you. May I have a second, please?
I second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion before we call for the vote?
Madam Chair, can I just get clarification on something? I was here. Let me take myself off mute. I apologize.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Sorry about that. So I was hearing Ray say something about them being in the meetings. So are some of these discussions about the bus garage things that you guys were discussing in the facility meetings that he's attending?
Well, no, we haven't had any facility meetings we just had one today about the bus garage. Today was the only meeting we had about the bus garage with the city. Mr. Freeman was not in attendance at that meeting today. The bus garage meetings pretty much has been Steve and myself and Doug working with Affinity, trying to figure out how to make this happen. We've met with the city periodically, just took walkthroughs over there, but the serious conversation, first one just started today about the bus garage with the city. There has not been any formative conversation. We've had people go look at the city facility, and then our people have tried to make some recommendations on how it's going to look. And then from there, today was the first meeting with our people saying, this is our idea. And then the mayor's group looking at it and saying, it's not going to work, this going to work, this going to work. So that was the first conversation today. All the things about the using the board, that was originated from us, just looking at what could we do in the short term. So that was a Doug and I conversation with Steve, trying to figure out, we heard at the Eastwood meeting, they didn't want buses at Eastwood. That was number one. We know Westwood don't want buses. So the board came as the best location, big parking lot, Main Street. So the facility, we haven't had facilities meetings recently, but we have had conversations between our owners rep and myself on trying to figure out this puzzle.
Okay, all right. Thank you for clarifying that.
All right, if there's no further questions, Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Miss Mitchell.
Yes, motion passes 5-0. Sean, Steve, Doug, thank you so very much for joining us this evening. And again, thank you very, very much for being patient with us as we were trying to be flexible on our agenda with our first guest.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. You all have a great evening.
Thank you
All right.
very much.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care. Next on the agenda, we need a motion on the floor to approve by consent agenda superintendent's recommendations and presentations for board certified staff. We are specifically voting on employment supplemental coaching for the high school boys head coach, basketball coach.
Brent Moore.
Right. So I'd like to speak to this one. The reason why we want to get this on the agenda and voted on, we will bring football to relatively soon. The seasons are year round. So we would like to, whoever we recommend or whoever the board approves, we'd like to get them started as soon as possible. So that's why we want to bring this recommendation as soon as possible. I do have Mr. Swift on the phone, on the call, to just describe the candidate for this position. And then we also have the candidate, as if we were in person, we normally do have people come and speak once they approve. So we want to do that tonight. So Mr. Swift, if you could please just give an overview of the recommendation so that the board is aware.
Absolutely. First off, good evening, board. It's good to see everyone. I haven't seen you guys in a while.
Right.
Appreciate you inviting me on tonight to speak. Obviously, it was a tough role for myself, stepping down as head coach for the past 10 years. But moving forward, we had a good group of candidates who applied for the position. We went through a good interview process, and we felt that Coach Moore would be the best candidate for the job. I mean, Coach Moore, he was the head coach at East Tech for 14 years. He's won over 200 career games as a head coach. He sent over 40 of his student athletes on to the next level and playing in college. He's won 6 city championships in the Senate League. He went 7 times in a row. As one of the best coaches, one of the most respected coaches in Northeast Ohio. So I can't say enough about Coach Moore, and I believe what we built in the last 10 years at Warrensville, he would be the perfect person to sustain, and not only sustain what we built, but to take our program to the next level in this decade, hofully the next decade, if you will. But I think this is a great person. It was a great recommendation by myself. Mr. Jolly thought so as well. So we hope you guys, for one, I want to introduce him, to allow him to give him a chance to speak and introduce himself to you guys and go from there.
So if we would have him speak after the board votes. If he's approved, then we'll give him the opportunity to speak.
Okay.
That is our recommendation for boys basketball. We will be bringing a recommendation for boys for football relatively soon, and would like to follow the same process.
Thank you so very much. So board, may we have a motion on the floor? And then if we have additional discussion, then we can open it at that time.
Yes, Madam Chair, I move that we accept item 4.1 supplemental coaching. It says offer employment to Brent Moore for the supplemental coaching contract listed for the 2021-2020 school year.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I second it.
It has been moved and properly seconded. So board, are there any questions at this time for Mr. Jolly or AD Swift?
Just a comment. If Mr. Moore is approved, he's got some tough shoes to fill. All I have to say.
Yeah, I think we all agree with that.
We all agree on that one.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. If there's nothing else, Dr. Rock, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Gator,
Yes.
Mrs. Moomin,
Yes.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts,
Yes.
Miss Mitchell.
Yes, a unanimous yes vote. And welcome to Warrensville, Coach Moore and Dr. Jolly, Mr. Jolly. I think we're calling this doctorate up into existence for you. If Mr. Moore can join us now, I think we'd like to say congratulations face to face and hear from him.
Okay, I just want to thank you all for just welcoming me into the Warrensville Heights family. I appreciate it. I think I know I have some big shoes to fill following up Coach Swift, and I think that our paths are very similar, just two different locations within the city. So I do understand the task that's at hand, you know, being a mentor to these young men and leading them to just be better people. So I think that myself and Coach Swift do have a lot of things in common as far as philosophy and just the way we approach things. And I think it's going to be a great partnership.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Coach Swift and Coach Moore, for being on tonight, and we look forward to great things.
Absolutely. Thanks for
Yes,
having
we
us. We
do.
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome
Congratulations.
aboard. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers. Thank you.
Y'all have a great evening.
Good evening. See you guys later.
All right.
All right,
Take
Bye.
care now. All right. Thanks, board. Mr. Jolly, we are looking forward to some great things.
Yes.
I'm hoping that things will shift so we can all take a little road trip down to Columbus for states this year.
I hope Mr. Moore hear that. The pressure is on. No.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Pressure's on.
Yes, it is. All right, Mr. Jolly, I'm going to hand the agenda over to you. We are at section 5, and you will be taking us through an update, an overview of the Warrensville High City School District virtual calendar and our 2021-2022 Operation Catch-Up Plan.
Yeah, so first of all, I'd just like to apologize to the board and public for me being late to this meeting. I was on a virtual meeting with Cleveland State with some other superintendents, and it ended a half hour behind the scheduled time. I'm a stickler for being on time and doing things the right way, so I do want to apologize for my lateness in getting the meeting started late today. But first of all, I'd like to go over the Warrensville Heights Virtual Academy. As everyone knows, last year was a very tough year where we had to go to virtual. Many of our parents have elected to remain virtual. And as we move into next year, we want to always provide a virtual option here in the district. So today I want to go through our initial plan for the Warrensville Heights Virtual Academy, which will be staffed in most part by our teachers, similar to what we're doing now. So in this virtual academy, we want to have one section per grade level. So that'll be 20 slots for grades K to 5. In the middle school, to be 6, one section of 25 and 68. And then in high school, we want to provide 30 available slots. Part of it is that some of the key information is that students who attend online are not eligible to participate in extracurricular activities. What we found is that if you can play basketball and football and everything else, you should come to school. Very important because we've found that the kids who stay online and play sports often are not producing in the classroom. So that is not working well. The K-5 teachers will teach at Westwood, so we'll use Westwood as the home base for the virtual academy. It's based on enrollment, so enrollment would play a major key. And if we have it, or if we have a first grade section or third grade section, it's all based on enrollment. Some other districts don't even have 20 kids sign up for the virtual academy, so we're going to put it out there and see how many per grade level it exists. And then enrollment period, we'll have a June enrollment period for the academy. Let me move down. Hold on. So going through the staffing, there'll be one teacher per grade level. So we already have that in place, no additional staffing. Also in the middle school, no additional staffing needed. The middle school will be done differently than the K-5. In the middle school, what we do is have a section of virtual learners, and then each teacher will have a virtual period. So if you think about middle school, as the kids rotate through the schedule, instead of having a physical class, that one period, they'll have a virtual class. And then in high school, we want to model it after our Aurora program, where students self-pace. And our Aurora program is an online program where we have a teacher there to assist students that need support. One of the key things to that, though, is that all the assessments have got to be taken in the building. So they will have to come in and take assessments inside of the building. So the resources needed is internet and Chromebook. We provided all our students with internet and Chromebooks. And then Chromebook repair. We do have Chromebook repair at the high school, so the parents will have to bring the computers to the high school for the Chromebook repair. Then we want to make sure that we have some criteria for the academy, because again, if you haven't come to school during the virtual time and you haven't learned during that, then we really need you to come in. So what we're looking at is understanding that the classes are all day. We're kids with documented medical conditions or family situations with documented medical conditions will be priority to be in the academy. So there are some serious medical issues, and those students and families will get preferential admittance. And then also attendance rate from prior year and while virtual. Again, kids who have not done well virtual or who have failed in virtual should not be virtual because they're not learning and not doing well. And then in high school and middle school, the 2.5 GPA. And then in high school, maintaining your credits to be in this academy. Now, we had a Aurora Academy for people who don't maintain their credits. But for this one, this is for kids who pretty much in high school who really are flourishing in the online program. And this is an avenue for them to continue to flourish, and they work at their own pace. The requirements. So we would need parents to agree to this because this is part of the process of staying in the academy. All the district assessments are in person. So as we had to take the OST this year, our online students had to come in and take the assessment. So they went to Westwood, took the assessment. They went to the middle school and took the assessment. Must maintain a 90% attendance rate. That is so important that they are actively and doing well. And that they are attending class. Maintain satisfactory progress at the elementary level. Again, if we see a kindergartner or a first grader or a second grader falling behind and not learning, then we need to bring them in because we cannot let them continue to fail. At the middle and high school level, again, if they're not flourishing, we don't want to keep them virtual. We want to bring them in. And then we want the parent responsibility that the parents have to attend a mandatory webinar or in-person orientation about the platforms and the expectations as part of the enrollment process. So if you choose and you're selected to be in the virtual academy, then you got to come in, know what the expectations is, meet the teachers, know the platform so that you can assist they can assist their child. Mandatory attendance at parent conferences. The parent conferences will be online virtual, but we need all parents in the virtual academy to attend them. And then if like kids who are truant or have or excessively absent, we cannot allow them to enroll in the academy. It's not working. State law states that kids have to come to school, and we have to be able to verify that. And then we also want to have a application process where people apply for the academy, where they have to demonstrate if they have the medical thing, they demonstrate that, and then we'll be able to review their attendance and so forth. Also with that, so we will be monitoring progress throughout the school year, and then daily attendance will be taken and monitored by the teacher, attendance team, and then ultimately our truancy team, just like it has been over this year. What we found with the virtual academy, some kids flourish and some kids don't. With the ones that flourish, and we want to maintain that option to them. The kids who have documented medical situations want to remain that option to them. But as things get better, the vaccine continues to, as people continue to get the vaccine, we need to get more students in school. So I think this provides options for parents, but it also promotes students to return back to our buildings. So at this time, I'm open to any questions that anyone might have.
Superintendent Jolly, do you have an idea of the count of how many students right now, or you don't know yet?
We don't know. We have not done. So we've been polling. We've been having our parents sign up for the extended school year. So we want to wait about a month before we hit them with another survey because they surveyed out. So we give them a month, and then June we come back with the survey for sign up. We're going to assume everybody coming back, and then the ones who want the virtual academy will fill out an application to come to the virtual academy.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Jolly, I just want to clarify something. It says students who were excessively absent or habitually truant, blah, 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 may not be permitted to enroll. So
Right.
That means that there's a chance that they may be accepted based on the application process, or are we saying they will not be involved?
So we will have to look at like a medical condition, an extreme case where they can't come in because of medical condition. We don't want to exclude a person because of their mother might have a medical condition and so forth. So this might help that situation. So we want to leave that in, say may, because there's a possibility there's some situations that we are not aware of that this allows them the opportunity to be part of the program.
Awesome. That sounds good. Thank you.
Can't hear you, Ms. Moomin.
The majority of our kindergarten and first graders, they are in school, correct?
I would say about 65% of them is. There's still a large group that's not. We still have 2 sections per grade level that's not in school. Yeah, they're virtual. They're virtual. I will share one of our concerns is our kindergarten is about 40 students lower than it normally is. And we are anticipating that we might get an influx of kids who never enrolled, that they would be 6 years old and didn't enroll this year because of the pandemic. So we're watching those numbers very, very close because, we've been on a pattern of about 150 kindergartners for about 5 years. And then this year we have 110. So where are those 40 kids? They still here, they're around here somewhere, but they haven't enrolled. And if you talk to other districts, first rank districts and districts all over the country, they say the kindergarten numbers are down. So we need to, we are looking at that too and preparing for that. Are there any other questions? Okay, I'm gonna move to Operation Catch Up. Now, as we discussed, or we haven't discussed, the governor or the federal government has assigned ESSER money to our district and to all the districts in the state of Ohio. Our district, I believe, Dr. Rock, how much is it for our district?
ESSER 3 is $10 million and ESSER 2 is $4 million.
So for ESSER 3 is $4 million and ESSER 2 is $10 million. That's almost $14 million that must be spent on catching students up or facilities making them safe for students. So I wanted to reveal our plan today because, again, we understand and know that we have on paper almost 50% of our kids are still virtual, and for the kids that's back in school, we know that there's a serious need to fill the deficits that the loss of learning. I don't want to say learning loss, but the time out of school has caused. So here's our plan. I want to go through the plan with you. So our plan is to use the ESSER, Title I, and Health and Wellness funds, because we also have Health and Wellness funds in which we paid Dr. Reynolds out of, and in which we bought these guards with, and what we put our ventilation systems in each school. But our plan is to provide targeted intervention in reading and math across the district. So in some areas, we're lower class sizes, but we want to make sure that all our kids are reading or caught up to grade level. So using that large amount of money that will be exhausted by the 2024, this is our plan. So we want to hire 2 additional at the elementary level, 2 additional certified teachers per grade level. At the middle school level, we want to hire a reading and math intervention teacher. Now we have ways we use current staff, and then at the high school, which we haven't done before, is hire a reading and math intervention teacher also. And then also, we want to, so going through each grade, in the first grade, we already have 2 existing teachers that would be, we could use, so we won't be using the ESSER money for those, but we might be able to move their salary to the ESSER money to ensure that we are utilizing that. At the second grade level, the second grade is moving, so we have an extra allocation moving to the second grade level because the first grade is a large group. And then the second one, and then also, so with the second grade, we're hiring 4 teachers, 2 to fill vacancies, and then 2 for intervention. Third grade, we're hiring 2 teachers. The plan calls for us to hire 2 teachers for intervention. And then the fourth grade, we have a vacancy in fourth grade. And then also, fourth grade, we have the enrollment is up in third grade. So when you have 4 sections of third graders, we need 5. So we need to hire a teacher, and then we hire 2 for intervention. Then fifth grade, we also have an enrollment because, again, our class has been at 150, 160. So these groups are moving up. And then we'll hire 2 with field vacancy, and then we'll hire 2 for intervention. And then we have a special ed teacher that we'll dedicate to that group of 6-year-olds or students who haven't been in school in kindergarten and first grade. We'll have a special ed teacher that will be dedicated to that group. If you remember about when we first got here, we had a group of kindergartners that were real, hadn't been in school or been in any organized school. And we hired a teacher named Miss Rayton in the middle of the year in kindergarten. Similar, we are preparing for students who haven't been in any formal school setting to have somebody they'll be able to put them in a small group setting, a small setting, so that they can get the attention they need. Because we do know that there are some kids that's in kindergarten or that'll be starting kindergarten since daycares are closed and people have been home that's never been in school. So just going through it, we also want to hire, this is something new, is a math and reading coaches for secondary. So the biggest feedback I've been getting from the high school and middle school principals is that we need expertise in math and literacy on the secondary level. We have a secondary coordinator, but the secondary coordinator is a jack of all trades. But we need focused help for math and reading. If you look at our scores, our math scores they're probably are not where they should, and our reading scores are not. So we want to hire a math and reading coaches for middle and high. It'll be 1 coach for middle and high to work on literacy and math at both levels. We had the positions before, and we just want to re-energize both positions. So in all, we'll be hiring 12 K-5 teachers for the elementary school, 1 math or reading intervention for the high school, a math coach, and a literacy coach for secondary. And also looking at a science intervention teacher also. Our science scores are the lowest in the district too. So my thoughts on this is while we have the window of opportunity with this influx of money, that we maximize our resources, that we write any area of weakness during this 2 or 3 year period and fix it while we can. And then also in addition to that, you know, we hire some great and exciting people that we want to remain in the district, that through attrition, and it normally happens that way, we'll be able to keep some of those people too. I believe our enrollment is going to continue to grow, and we're going to definitely, like we're seeing, we need people. And if we hire people that get indoctrinated to the Warrensville and Tiger Way, our future is unlimited on how far we could go. But this is our first plan on maximizing these funds, putting it right in the classroom. It's all going right back to teaching and learning in students and assisting our staff members in assisting us fill those gaps that were caused by a 1.5 years out of school. So at this time, I'm open to any questions that anyone might have. I can't hear.
I actually think this is an excellent plan. Is there any possibility that we can hire, I understand coaches, tutors, just for one-on-one for those students that are really behind, that we can give them one-on-one? If we can hire some tutors?
Yes, so I know currently we do have a few tutors at the elementary school, but I believe that we would be open to hiring tutors. 100%, as we see the need, I think we will keep that posting out there and bring them in. Again, we want to maximize this small window that we have while we have the resources, because eventually they're going to be gone, but we want to use them and we don't want to give any of it back at the end. So we don't want to get no money back. We want to spend it all on right on the students, putting it right on hand-to-hand teaching and learning.
Investing it directly with our scholars.
Thank you.
I have one quick question. So what kind of data will you be able to provide to the board to show how effective the program is?
Right. So at our next meeting, I will have the curriculum team. We just went over a monitoring tool today that we will use. Let me write I wrote the name of it down. They just showed me today. It is called Branching Minds. So we have Branching Minds is a data portal that will house the data that as we go through our assessments using iReady, we will be using Star Math next year, Star Reading. Those are some of the assessment tools and progress monitoring tools that we use. And then this Branching Minds will be able to demonstrate our progress or each student's progress online. So we have not purchased the Branching Minds, but the Branching Minds is an outstanding tool to demonstrate for each student. It tells what type of intervention, a tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3 intervention. It'll tell if they move from this point to that point. It's a great thing. I thank Ms. Maurice for bringing that to our, because that was my big question. How do we monitor progress? What is the tool we're going to use? And she found a great tool so that we'll be able to demonstrate it with the ESY this summer. So after these 17 days, we'll be able to show where students are. So, and that'll be our practice on this process. So we have a tool. I will have curriculum demonstrate that tool at our next meeting.
Thank you, board. Are there any other questions? Mr. Jolly, the only thing I would ask, and I know you guys will do this, just what is the timeline? Are you going to do the assessments? Will it be on a monthly basis, quarterly basis?
Yes, so with the 17 days, they'll be more frequent. Currently in our assessment cycle, we do quarterly assessments now. So each quarter we do quarterly assessments. But now with this, with what's going on now, they will be more frequent. as we develop that, I will have that information moving forward. But we have to be informed more now, because part of the ESY, we want to have flexible groups. So as a child masters one skill, they should move to the next group. If a child doesn't master skill, they should stay in that group. So we need that information to inform the flexible groups and how students move, because we don't want to keep a child who's already mastered the information stuck in one place. We want to allow them to continue to grow, and we want to be able to identify and it is basically like going to the doctor and getting an evaluation, seeing what's wrong, and then as we fix one thing, we move to the next. I don't know if that's a good analogy, but
It's a great analogy. Thank you.
But that's the way the cycle gonna be, and that tool will inform us. The branch of minds will inform us of what progress has been made, and then our principals. And I'll actually meet with the elementary principals tomorrow with the curriculum team to discuss how that looks and how frequent it will happen.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So at this time, that concludes my 2 reports. So I would bring these both back to be voted on the next meeting. I want to give an overview of what they were.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Darwin.
Well, next on our agenda is item 6. I'm going to hand 6.1 over to Ms. Gator, Mr. Roberts, as they give us a brief update and overview on the next steps with our new member orientation guide.
I defer to Board Member Gator to bring us up to speed on where we are.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. So we've gone through the document and made quite a few, I guess you could say, corrections, adjustments. But we're still looking at it. We want to make sure that this is truly addressing some of the concerns and comments that we heard from the board members, but especially want to make sure that it is truly giving us an orientation guide. I remember when I spoke with Earl about it, I was prepared to make a ton of changes to it. And Earl was the one that said, this is exactly what I needed coming in as a new school board member. This would have helped me so much. So I didn't want to take anything out. We do want to add some stuff, but I do think that it's important for us as a board to take a look at this together. Earl and I had some challenges just because of my schedule, probably more than anything, of us, getting together and trying to go through it. So I'm thinking if you guys would be open to it, I would love for us to maybe schedule a special meeting and just kind of go through it page by page and really get some input. I can send you, the markups of what we've done so far, so that we could be prepared for a discussion. I think that what we have is giving us a really good foundation for an orientation guide. Earl, did you want to add anything? I'm sorry.
No, I think you perfectly summed up, what we dealt with and where we are. Member Gator, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. So
Is there any way possible that we can get a hard copy of what you all have done so far? Is there any way possible we can get hard copies for that?
You sure can. Yes.
Thank you.
But I would like to ask about, and I think that's what you were getting ready to address.
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to say. If we can pick a date, you want to pick a date now for a special meeting?
If possible.
So if we
don't know what everyone's schedule is like, but yeah.
Okay. If we can pick a date now for a special meeting, it can be virtual. We can, work it from the comfort of our home offices, and we will all get hard copies.
Okay.
And we'll have to have them printed at the district, and we'll either pick up or deliver or something. So if we can come up with a date now that works for everyone's schedule.
So for me personally, Wednesdays work out great for me. I don't know how everyone else feels about that, but I've definitely set aside Wednesdays just for the board.
Yeah, I was going to ask if we could just stick with the Wednesday because it's just easier. So I don't have the timeline that you guys walked us down from the last meeting, and I know it can be extended, especially now that we want to make sure we include
you.
our new goals in there. So
Mhm.
we can back that timeline down just a little bit. So I'm
Yeah,
not sure what everybody's will be ready to do it on the 12th.
next week?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so.
Does Wednesday, May 12th work for everyone?
Works for me.
Barbara, Earl, does Wednesday?
Yes. Yes, the 12th is fine.
Yeah, we'll be virtual.
You'll
Yes,
have
ma'am.
it
We'll have
within the
hard
next day or
copies.
two, yeah. You'll have it within a day or two, ma'am. You're welcome.
And then if we do virtual, are we able to start at like 5 or 5:30?
I'd prefer 5:30, but that would be
Can
great.
we start at 5:30, board?
I'm fine with it.
Okay, so we're going to do a special meeting May 12th at 5:30. It will be all virtual, and this is where the board will have a special work session to just review our new member orientation guide. So Mr. Jolly, if you could assist us in getting that meeting set up for us, and Dr. Rock, if you could get that meeting notice set up, that would be awesome.
Madam Chair, I have a quick question.
Go right ahead.
Mimi, on the draft, what were you looking at as far as pages of this handbook? What?
You're on mute. You're on mute.
Yeah, okay.
All right, it's kind of hard to say. The initial draft that they gave us, I want to say it was like 29 to 31 pages, but
Okay.
we could cut that down depending on what the board feels is important to have. But I just want to remind you guys as you're taking a look at it, just remember it's a guide that is designed to help both new board members as well as veteran board members. So we can add or delete whatever we feel is necessary.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. But yeah,
I'm going to remind everybody it's a first draft.
Right.
Typically, your first draft is your heftiest draft. And as we review as a board, there may be information that we might decide as a board can be detracted, because as a reminder, we all get our 5 books from OSBA. So let's just know that the first draft is going to probably be very heavy in content. And then as we go through as a board, we will work together to decrease it as necessary, or we may decide to leave it as it stands. But, until we see it, we just have to be a little bit patient. I know it's a lot of pages. I know it's a lot, but it is what it is. So let's get the hard copy. We'll go through it. We will ask everybody to please make a concerted effort to go through it so we can have a viable discussion next week. Okie doke.
thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for the update, and thank you guys for working on this on our behalf. You okay, Mr. Jolly? All right, next.
Apologies. Sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay. Just making sure you're all right over there. Next on the agenda are our board conference overviews. And I do know we are kind of getting up there in time. We had some difficulties up front, and we still have executive session to go into. So I will ask, we have 2 conferences that we attended. NSBA, 4 of us attended. BLI, 3 of us attended. 4 of us attended, I'm sorry. So what I will ask is, as we go through, please remember that we do work very hard to keep these updates to 3 minutes per person. I thought I would do something different this time because BLI did something different. They threw us for a loop this time. We were in one contiguous meeting for 2 days. So I thought that BLI, we could find a couple of topics that we thought were of interest and discuss them as a board versus going through and doing individual updates, because we were all in all the same sessions. So we kick it off with NSBA, and I'm going to start to my left here. And Member Gator, if you could take your 3 minutes, I am going to keep time. So if you see me wave, that means begin to wrap it up.
All right, I'm going to do my best to stay well under 3 minutes.
Okie
So
doke.
I really did enjoy the NSBA conference. Once we got past the struggles of not being able to get into the sessions. The three that I'd like to discuss just briefly: transformative leadership during uncertain times. It was a panel discussion where the panelists discussed their challenges in their particular districts and just described, support that they needed but maybe didn't get during the pandemic, and even discuss some of the things that they might need moving forward. Hear any challenges or anything different than what we had, but it was still an interesting conversation. It was good panelists. I also attended State of the Play Education Hot Topics for new administration in Congress, and they really discussed the trending topics that are in education, topics that we might be hearing from Biden here in the state of Ohio. They talked about government funding, which of course is like at the top of everyone's list. School safety, disciplinary policies, technology, which we all saw the inequities in technology. Voucher programs is something else that we saw quite a bit of. Common Core and standard testing it was another hot topic. And then the last thing I really wanted to hone in on was it was a session called Mental Health Equitable Responses Within School Systems. So this particular one, it was a company out of Houston, Texas, and they talked about how communities can address the issues with mental health. Okay. So I focused on the mental health sessions because we all know, that the students and communities are struggling with mental health. They talked about the fact that we should know the warning signs of distress, anxiety, conflict, aggression, and a lot of what we heard from Mr. Reynolds the other day at our last meeting. We want to make sure that we're connecting students and families with resources. Educators and administrators should be proactive in sharing information about mental health mental well-being programs that are available not just in our district but in our community. So that's all I have. I thought that the NSBA was a good session. I was okay with BLI. Good.
I can't hear you.
Then I'm done. Thank you.
Yes, Madam Chair, I am. The National School Board, this is probably my 6th year actually going to it and attending it. It's a little bit different when it's online like it was last year. I thought it was good, as Ms. Gator said, and I know I had about 10 other board members across the country. It was very hard. They got kicked off once they got into the sessions, and the sessions filled up a lot. So that's what we heard when we had our review after the conference. A lot of people was not satisfied because they couldn't get into the conferences they wanted to. But the one that meant a lot to me was what we're pushing on the national school board level, and that's the dismantling of institutional racism in education. We call it DIRE, but when we look at the dismantling of institutional racism in education, we need all of the actual states across the United States and public schools to actually look at that and look at the way they operate. We always hear the catchphrase equity, equity, equity. Equity is fine, but if you don't apply the equity in your school district, there's no way that you can have children of color or black or brown children actually move in a right direction. So that's what we're taking on a national level. I think it's a good it's a good slogan to do it. We just got to make sure that we can penetrate it throughout the districts that represent the National School Board Association. Also, what I was very happy for, and I talked to my board members, is that we're seeing more and more white districts coming into the fold of learning about black and brown districts and urban districts, and wanting to take some of the information and get information from what they see from other board members across the country and applying it to their public schools in the United States. Talked to a young lady in Washington, the state of Washington, and she has 5 white board members, and they only have 10% of black students. But she was so intrigued that this is like new to her. Like a light bulb clicked on in 2021. Like, oh, we have black students, and we're not doing what we should do in a public school in state of Washington. So it's good to see those type of districts come and learn about the struggles of black and brown children and what we've been going through in America. Also, the board leadership with Ohio School Board Association, I thought it was very good. I had struggles that next day, Saturday. Excuse me.
Mr. Freeman,
Yes.
we're going to discuss BLI together.
Oh, okay. All right. I
Yeah,
don't need to talk
because
about that
it was different. So it's hard to have us each repeat the
then. Oh, no
same
problem. Okay.
class
All
because
right.
we
No,
were in all the classes
I got you.
together.
I heard you. I heard
All
you.
right. So
All right.
Miss Barbara, you went to NSBA.
Yes.
Yep, it's your turn, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Actually, Ray and I probably went to the same one, dismantling racism in school. And I kind of compiled mine together because I said dismantling racism in school and equity ties in together. And I like the fact that everybody acknowledged the fact that there is racism in school. And how do we get rid of it? It's a hard task, but it's also a mindset. And I thought that was such a true statement when the presenter said that, which he was, he was not a minority, that at least he's acknowledged that the fact that it exists and we have to deal with it. And then he was talking about what is our vision for students. What is our vision for students after they leave school? So often, many school districts just once you graduate, that's it. There's no more contact, or you're not following that student. And that was refreshing to me to hear that we should do that. That's just something that we should always do, is to follow the success of our young people. Then he was talking, one of the presenters was talking about governance, and that's how determined we are to make sure that our district is successful. We have to be consistent with our goals and our vision. We have to engage our parents. A lot of times we don't persist. We have to persist. We have to come up with ways that are going to engage our parents. Self-examination. We have to look at ourselves and see that we are doing the right thing. What are we doing? What are we doing to help our superintendent to make sure that the district is successful? And then the next one was trust. Do we trust each other? And they were saying that a lot of school board members don't trust each other. And I'm saying, wow, well, how can you be successful if you're not trusting each other judgment, if you're not trusting each other opinion? Everybody should have that opinion and everybody should respect that. I'm going to stop right here by saying all students will achieve here in Warrensville. That's what I said because we are determined for them to be successful. And most of all the presenters that I was listening to, I think we all had the same goal. We all had the same focus as to how to make sure that our young people are successful. I'm finished. Did I do 3 minutes?
You were actually under 3 minutes. Everybody's doing a great job.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. So for me, I tend to do educational tracks, as you guys know. So I stuck with quite a bit of board governance work. And then I also went to the Dyer. I saw another session. I saw a lot of sessions, but what I wanted to focus on, there were 3 sessions in particular that resonated for me. Has your board made a difference? Prove it, developing a continuous improvement index. I'm sure Ryan presented ineffective, somewhat effective, effective, highly effective. Which board are you? And then from the boardroom to the classroom, governance that works. Those resonated for me because we are working right now toward building a governance mindset in our board so that everything that we do is focused on, to Ms. Barber's point, how are we building programs working together collaboratively from a space of trust that we are always doing the right things to assist our students with their academic achievement. We have done quite a bit in our district, and it prompted me after the session to speak with Cheryl after I spoke with Mr. Jolly to find out how do we take a lot of our governance mindset that we're working on right now with Deborah Keys Wright in those sessions to build that into how we better govern ourselves, how we ask our questions, how we work together, how we make sure that we stay very focused on the role of the board versus getting too in the weeds and dealing with the work of the district and the district administrators. There was one other session that I really wanted to call attention to. It was the last session on Friday evening. It was a panel of 3 young high school women out in the Midwest, and they talked about what being in the pandemic had done to them and for them. It wasn't focused on mental health, but of course they covered off on it. And it really made me recognize, listening to them, we need to be able to hear our children's voices more. I know we've talked about this as a board, and I was asking Mr. Jolly about it again, but we need to figure out a way to get our students back to our school board meetings so we can hear from them firsthand to really hear what they need, what they're thinking, what they're feeling. And that's out in mind right there. So I do want to thank everybody for the attendance. I thought NSBA was great. And I thought that, again, because BLI was different, and the reason BLI for the community, we're typically allowed to self-select our own learning sessions at the board leadership conference. For whatever reason this year, we were on one call all afternoon Friday, all day Saturday, and it was the same group. We were literally, they moved the presenters into us, and we were not able to self-select the classes that we wanted to go to. So I thought, instead of having all 4 of us talk about the same classes, it might be good to just ask, was it anything in that day and a half session that really stood out for anyone? It could be one session, it could have been an opening session, but if you just wanted to speak on it at this time. And again, we won't take the 3 minutes because I think we can just kind of move through this one rather fluidly. I'll start back off with you, Mimi.
Yeah, I don't even know how positive I can be about this because it was frustrating for me to have to, to be told pretty much that this is the session that I have to go to. The one of the sessions was about family engagement. I don't necessarily go to sessions on family engagement. So it was not the kind of experience that I wanted. I did somewhat enjoy the guest speaker, Mr. Gary Brooks. But even with him, I still was trying to figure out exactly what the message was, right? So yeah, I would have to really give this some thought next year.
Yeah,
very honest. So.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
So from this conference, could you give me one positive thing that you benefited from it? One positive thing.
I can.
Okay.
The mental health session Saturday morning was really, I can give you 2.
And I missed that one.
The mental health session Saturday morning was really good. And it it everything that Dr. Reynolds is doing in this district. It was like someone took that deck he shared with us at that last board meeting, and they worked from his deck to run that session.
Okay.
The other thing that was good for me, because I got up and I got online, they had the coffee clutch at 9:30. And for once, that was a highly interactive and engaging conversation between board members. And I actually connected with a board member from another district, and I think he's in Northwest Ohio. And he has some really good ideas on something that I've been we've tried to talk about here, but there wasn't an interest to do. And I want to talk to him. We're supposed to meet so I can pick his brain and figure out learn how they did that in their district and how they're experiencing success. So out of the whole 2 days, that was the only thing that really resonated, because it was very disappointing to me that I had to sit and listen to the same thing that everybody else, because I thought, what is this benefiting us?
Okay.
So I don't know, Ray and Earl, what were you all's thoughts?
Earl?
All right, thank you. I found value also in the mental health session. I did find value in that, and also there was a discussion about the about school funding and the vouchers and the like, and I found that to be very like informative, educational, and I like at least the fact that they were aware of the potential problems that exist within those programs and discussing, solutions to rectifying those. So I found value in those too.
Okay, so I have to push back a little bit. What was funny to me about that one, and this is going to sound horrible and I don't mean it to, it felt like now that they're experiencing the pain, now it's a big deal. It wasn't a big deal when it was just the urban schools dealing with this, but now the bigger, predominantly white districts are struggling with this, and so now it's like, oh God, we got to stop this. We got to get this fixed, and this can't happen. Well, it's been happening to us, and I'm glad they're on the bandwagon now, because they need to fix the funding formula for public schools. But I'm sorry, Ray, we didn't get a chance to let you speak, sir.
No, that's all right. The only thing I got of it, and being in Mimi's wheelhouse, is the legislative updates. I thought Will Shorts and Jennifer did a
Yeah, he
great
did.
job. I mean, I got a lot out of the different policies, and they dug a little deeper. So, I mean, I was like you guys. I mean, that second day I got on it, but it was a struggle and didn't listen to the same person. But I thought, like, from 2 o'clock to maybe 4, I thought that legislative update, even though it kept going and repetitively, but I thought it gave me good insight on what I used to always be watching for in Ohio, the legislative part.
Okay.
Jennifer Williams. So you're
He
right.
always, yeah, he
That
does.
was the best part probably.
Yeah, he does.
I
Yeah.
did struggle with the format.
Yeah, it was. I had a hard time with the format,
I'm glad I
so
didn't go.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one. But we went, and there were some nuggets of knowledge that we each pulled from it. So, you know,
Long as you pull something.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Well, I want to thank you guys, because this year has been a tumultuous year. And the fact that every conference that we've gone to now since Cube of last year has been virtual, and we have come through with flying colors. So, we lifted, we shifted, and we're making it work. Hopefully, as things continue to lift, we'll be able to return or feel safe returning to in-person conferences. I know Cube is supposed to be in person this September. I personally am not ready to do an in-person conference yet, but we shall see how that goes. But we do have one more agenda item. If I can have a motion on the floor to move us into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official.
Madam Chair, I move, I can pull it up, that we move into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I second it.
All right. It's been moved and seconded. We ready to go?
Are we going to the room again?
Yes.
Is Donna ready to join us?
Yes.
I know she's here, but is she okay? Are you gonna push us into the room?
Anything other at this point, I'm hoping the only thing that we're discussing is
Oh, we're getting up. Yes, I thought we're going into the room.
Going into the room?
We're going into the room here.
Oh, we going into the room here?
No, I thought
Oh,
we were back there,
Okay.
like we did last time.
Right.
okay.
Just because of,
All right, Tracy.
um,
Charlie, got to bring us back in? Oh, you're in? Oh, I should just say you joined already, man.
Is everybody back in?
Yes.
All right. Hold on, just come over with me. At this time, we need a motion to adjourn the May 5th special school board meet. I'm sorry. This the May 5th work session meeting.
Madam Chair, I move that we adjourn the May 5th work session meeting.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Meeting is adjourned. Everybody have a great evening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Oh.